Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Sorenson, sitting in for Don today. I'm the Vice President of Product at Tribal Rides. And as we've spoken about in a couple of prior episodes, we at Tribal Rides are working on a next generation ride sharing platform. And we're really focused within that platform on setting up in a way that will help drivers create and manage their driving businesses in the way that they see best fit. And in particular, we're setting it up so that they can create a preferred clientele that they work with repeatedly for multiple rides over time. Today, I'm very excited to be introducing Dustin Borklund, who is both a part-time driver and an investor. And Dustin first heard about tribal rides on an earlier MoneyTV episode. And at the time, he reached out and he had some suggestions and some feedback to offer us. We found that to be very helpful, and Dustin graciously agreed to join us here on MoneyTV and share his perspectives with a wider audience. So with that, welcome, Dustin. Thanks again for being here, and it'd be great if you wanted to share some about your background and how you started driving.
Oh, sure. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I came from the corporate world about 6 years ago. I worked for a big company that moved out of California, and I decided to stay in California and give myself some time to have a mini midlife vacation, so to speak. Uh, Check my investments, see if I can make it for a while without working. And it was working pretty well, but I was getting bored. And so I started driving for Uber. And I thought, well, that's a little extra money. It'd be nice, but it'd be also good to get out. And I got to meet all these riders and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much that I kept doing it. And I thought it was going to be very short term, but I enjoyed it so much that I signed up with Lyft and I started driving for Lyft and I got a nicer car and I started doing luxury. And then I started getting referrals from uh, passengers. They wanted to know how can they request me next time. And I gave them my name, my phone number, and they would request me. And pretty soon I printed up business cards and now I have more private customers than I do Uber and Lyft rides. So that's where I am today is I'm managing my investments, but I'm also driving occasionally for my private customers.
Mhm. And given, I guess, how you would describe your business as having evolved over time in terms of, working with repeat clients, how how do the current apps that are out there sort of either support or limit your ability to do what you want in terms of how you're managing your business?
Well, I think everybody knows that you can't request a driver on Uber and Lyft. So maybe you could give your phone number to passengers and they'll call you so that you're in the same area as them when they request an Uber or a Lyft. And hopefully that ride will come up on your screen. That sounds like a lot of headache that technology could solve. Um, Uber and Lyft have no way, and I don't think they're interested in independent drivers that want to set their own fares, set their own schedule, have their own client list. And I think that is a good opportunity for, in fact, I looked for an app that could do that. And I didn't see anything in the Apple Store. Everything is like a taxi thing and it's only good in Europe. And I didn't see anything like that. So when I came across Tribal Rides, I thought it's not developed yet, but I want to be a beta driver and I want to make sure it has the things that I need, which is primarily a scheduler.
So when you first heard about tribal rights and you saw some of the information we were sharing, it sounds like that sort of the scheduling aspect seemed like it could be a good fit. Were there other attributes that you were thinking would be, sort of helpful to experiment with, or possibly ones that you could give input on to sort of shape the direction of the development?
Well, of course, once I started thinking, yeah, this might be a good scheduler, what Tribal Rides is offering. Um, but then I let my mind wander about the other things that it could do because I'm certified to carry children around, to drive children around. Well, that should be in Tribal Rides that I have a little icon that says, and maybe Tribal Rides has validated the license to carry children around, because Uber and Lyft restricted to 18-year-old customers or riders and up. So I thought that would be useful. And things like that just came up, and I thought, oh, you know what? One thing I do for my customers is I track their flight. If I'm picking them up from an airport, I track their flight. If their flight gets delayed, more often it comes early, I'm there. So if in a traditional calendar app, if they were to book me for 5 p.m. because that's their landing time, I can see on my app that it's actually landing at 4:20. Whereas if they had to book me for 5, they'd be waiting until 5, and then I would be there at 5. So I can't use a traditional calendar app for that. I need an app that knows about flights, or, and of course, flight information is digital and available on the internet. So there could be a synergy there between, that data. So I thought about a lot of those things. Those are all nice to haves, though.
Mhm.
So I'm saving the nice to haves for later. I'll give as many as you want, but the need to have is the scheduler and some sort of customer relationship management, so that they get reminded. Right now, I manually send out reminders to them to know, so that they feel comfortable. They know I'm going to be there. Wouldn't it be great if the app did that? Really, the app just needs to do what computers do best, and then let me do what I do best.
Excellent. So, maybe taking a step back and looking at sort of where the industry as a whole is, and you've covered this a little bit already, but what would you sort of identify as some of the biggest opportunities and maybe the greatest challenges that sort of need to be addressed right now?
Well, Lyft and Uber seem to be writing algorithms that sole purpose is to get the customers to pay as much as possible, which it means the riders, get the drivers to accept as little as possible, and then make money on the difference. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how companies are made, on profits. But it becomes fairly impersonal, and it ends up being a game. And so the rider and sometimes the customer have to treat the app like a game and gamify, and basically trick the app into doing what they want, or to make the most money. The drivers do. It's a lot of noise. It's a lot of unnecessary, in the Japanese business world, we call that muda. That's waste. Tribal rides, when I first heard about it, there were no numbers mentioned, but it was a proposition like there's just going to be some sort of a flat fee or a flat percentage. And Uber started on a flat percentage. It was more personal. They had photos, they had drivers, they had driver information that you could learn about. Right now, I'm sure riders and drivers would feel from both companies that they're more treated like a number than anything else. Well, we can go the opposite direction. If we the reason customers choose me is because I am more personal. They get to know me, I get to know their families. We pick up on the same story on the next ride that we ended on the ride prior. You can't do that with Uber and Lyft. When you ask for a ride on Uber and Lyft, you don't know who's going to pull up. I think that's where the industry's, well, I can't say that's where it's headed, but I think that's where a company that focuses on the personal is going to succeed.
Great. Thank you, Dustin. Those were very insightful and helpful comments, both for us and I'm sure for the wider audience as well. So really appreciate your time and your input. Very much looking forward to working with you as one of our early drivers as we roll out our platform in the next few months here. And hopefully anyone else who's listening and would like to learn more about us, we're at www.tribalrides.com. And do let us know also if you're interested in being one of our early drivers or our early riders, and we'd really like to work with you as well. So thanks again, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.